So it seems like Sony wants to get back into the mobile gaming market. It's not exactly how I would have preferred, but it's still very promising, I think. It's kind of interesting how history repeats itself. 10 years ago, April 2011, was when Sony released this thing, the Xperia Play. It was basically a PSP Go that could make phone calls. It was a gaming phone. Now, gaming phones have gone a different direction nowadays. I have the ROG Phone 2, which is a ridiculously fast phone, or at least it was when it first came out. The phone market space moves incredibly fast. This thing is no longer king of the hill when it comes to ridiculous specs on a cell phone, but it's an indication that the industry wants you to play games on your phone. The Xperia Play, though interesting, was very flawed, and it failed to capture the imagination of gamers and game developers alike, because where are the other Xperia Play-like phones? I thought that would usher in an era of phones with physical controls that you could play your emulators, your homebrew games, your native Android games, and now with cloud gaming, a phone with that form factor with a built-in controller would be more relevant than ever. So I would love it if this video was about a new Xperia Play. Sadly, that's not really the case. Eurogamer noticed earlier this month that Sony is hiring an executive at PlayStation Studios that would focus on bringing PlayStation's most popular franchises to mobile. The listing didn't mention any specific games or a time frame, but it's pretty obvious what kind of game they would be interested in bringing to mobile. Mobile gaming has come a very long way. Whereas before, all you had on your phone was a bunch of match 3 clones. Now you can play a console quality multiplayer first-person shooter while voice chatting with your buddies on a device that you already carry in your pocket anyway. And the game is even free. Now, yes, I understand that there's a lot of problems with the freemium format. There's, I guess my other video is ready. Let's see. There are a lot of problems with the free-to-play format. There are a lot of problems with the fact that some Chinese companies with, let's say, less than savory practices essentially dominate that space. I get it. But I still find it very exciting that Sony wants to push mobile gaming forward. Like, for somebody who's been obsessed with portability, with playing games wherever you go, these contemporary mobile games are effectively a dream come true. They're not without their flaws. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the free-to-play format in the way that it's usually implemented. There are some games that do it better than others, but I'm a super huge fan of that concept. I want to create more videos here about mobile gaming, and this, I find, it's just great news. I would have, again, preferred for Sony to revisit the Xperia Play. I understand why. I mean, the PSP sold really well, over 80 million units, but it was plagued by piracy. And the Vita, unfortunately, through Sony's own fault, in my opinion, didn't live up to its full potential. Sony just like gave the market the Vita and said, you guys make the games for it. They didn't really, in my opinion, invest the time and the resources to bring those AAA titles that would actually sell the system. There were a handful, yes, but the Vita was just, it could have been so much more. As a hardcore PSP fan, the PS Vita was just such wasted potential. But I'm super excited about this. The idea of Sony bringing their games to mobile, especially if they go a completely different route than everybody else is going, like the whole free-to-play format, I like it in that everybody can jump in and play. Like something like COD Mobile, it's so easy to recommend because it's free. You can just tell your buddies, download this game, let's play a couple of matches. I have done that myself. So if Sony goes a different route and instead of the free-to-play model, they charge, let's say, premium-like prices for these games, part of me is not going to like that so much because it's going to be a little harder to recommend. But if I can get full-blown console-like experiences on my phone without the timers, without microtransactions, like just a legit, honest-to-goodness first-party Sony game on my mobile phone, that's gonna be game-changing. I'm extremely excited for this. Sony is not a company that I foreseen making the jump to mobile in this way, but then again, I never thought Nintendo would let their intellectual property be played on a device that is not manufactured by them. And granted, Nintendo's mobile games are not your actual Nintendo games. Like they're not trying to compete with somebody who back in the day would buy a 3DS or now a Switch. And I get that strategy. It makes sense in a Nintendo way. And by that I mean, it makes more sense than the stuff that they usually do. But what do you think? Are you excited about this? I'm hella excited. I want to see more quality games on my mobile phone. As a Switch fanboy, I wonder what that's gonna, like, is that gonna make me play with my Switch less? Nowadays, I haven't been really playing with my Switch a lot. I've been focusing on a lot of these mobile experiences because I want to create more content about this. So what do you think? Does this pose a legitimate threat to Nintendo's hegemony on portable gaming? Or do you think the people who want Switches and those first-party Nintendo games, mobile gaming will absolutely never give them anything close to that experience? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Follow me on social media. I'm very active on both Twitter and Instagram. Let me just say this is me soapboxing, but I dislike the fact that some influencers basically completely ignore their fan bases. And I want to make an effort to connect with each and every one of you, and I know it's going to be impossible to do that to everyone, but I'm going to try. I want to talk to you guys more. One of my favorite videos ever is my video about the locadoras. I'm going to link it right there. If you haven't seen it, you can go check it out. It was a video about stores that would rent systems by the hour. You'd come in with your buddies, you sit down, you give them $1 or $2, and then you play Super Mario World for an hour. This is very common in Brazil when I was a kid, and apparently it's common all over the world except for North America. I found out through the comments in that video that I had an upbringing that was actually pretty similar to people that I never met who live in completely different places of the world than me, and it was interesting. Every now and again I go back to read those comments, and it really made me feel like it's special that I get to talk to you guys. So that's what I want to do. In my social media, I'm going to try to prioritize talking to the people who watch the content that I create more than I already do. Anyway, that's all the time I have for today. I'm Izzy, and I'm done. But it's an indication that the industry wants you to play phone, but it's an indication to play phones?